Hello? I keep forgetting that this is here and not there. But anyway, how are you? I hope you're doing well. We're having a little late start, but we're here for you. I've been really excited. I've been waiting to use the frogs for a while now. You know, we had some anticipation for the frogs, but they're here for you, and I'm ready. A little bit, just a little ready, you know. But we're gonna make it. We're gonna pull through. I hope you enjoyed your week. Oh, I should probably have chat up. That's important. I want to chit chat with my buds. Alright. We got the chat. I had some inspiration today. I decided I wanted to either challenge myself or kind of force myself into some inspiration, I guess. I don't know. I decided to do a limited palette today, so I'm only using technically 3 colors and white today. No, I lied. I'm using 4 colors because one of them I was not paying attention to. You can tell we're having a little rocky start today, but that's okay. That's okay. It's okay because we're here and we're here for you. So let's get rolling. Let's get rocking and rolling. I've been thinking about these frogs. You know, I'm always kind of thinking about frogs. That's just how I live my life. Frogs are pretty great. I like lizards. I like all things reptilian. Mostly. I don't know. I can't really think of a reptile I don't like. Except for maybe, I don't know, tokay geckos can be mean from what I hear, but I haven't really had the first person experience of a not nice tokay gecko, so being very judgmental of them, which is not cool. You know, they got a lot going on being a gecko. You're small, you're easily threatened, I guess, as a gecko, right? So sometimes you get a little angry and you gotta scream. Like the common rain frog. Gonna put on my David Attenborough voice. What a job that guy has. He gets to walk around in the wild just talking about it. Hello, yes. Here is a common streamer. Here to be live. Watch as he frantically paints. I don't know, maybe I'm a frantic painter. There's one particular streamer. Ooh, I'm drawing a blank on their username, and I feel like a jerk. Can't remember their. Yeah, it was something cool. I liked it, and now I'm forgetting. I'm drawing a nice blank here.
Big Empty Zero?
Yes, Big Empty Zero, who does, at least from what I've seen, streams some really nice music, some really good electronic music, that I'm pretty sure they make, and, does abstract painting, speed painting, those ones are pretty cool. So when I think of frantic, I think of their style a little bit of like just going for it. I really admire that with abstract painters who just jump right in. We got all the ribbits. All the ribbits just for you. Let's get some paint on the canvas. This is really my favorite brush to start with. It's very stiff. But it has this really nice brushwork pattern when I'm first starting out on a blank canvas. That intimidating white void. Let us know, what's your favorite frog? What kind of frogs you into? You like the rain frog? Do you like tree frogs? Or are you more of a toad kind of person? Or do you like reading Frog and Toad? It's a great book series. I love that artist. Don't remember the guy's name. I have a problem with remembering names. It's a challenge. But, you know, I try to remember them where they count. Like, people who follow me. I should remember that. Shows that you care and that you're paying attention. Oh, Yoshi did a tumble. It's okay. It's okay. Getting aggressive. It's that frantic painting. You know, sometimes it's a little too much for Yoshi. But Yoshi hangs in there. More feeling toads lately. You know, I love toads. In my old apartment when I was in Florida, I had a little bit bigger potted plant collection. And there was, at one point we had, I think, 3 toads living in various potted plants, like in just hanging out in the dirt. And they just have their little head poking out, just chilling, doing their thing. Toads are good. Toads are good. That's what I should have put the name of the stream. Toads are good. But right now we're listening to frogs. I want to say a certain kind of bullfrog is in there. But I'm a little new to the Georgia amphibian locals. Might have looked that up before I went live, but you know, we're here to learn together. What's your favorite feeling about toads? Do they make you feel squishy? Do they make you feel lumpy? During my heavily pimply years, I saw toads and said, "Me too. It's okay. I get it." The palette I've been using has gotten quite full of old paint. So I'll look at it and get a little lost, because there's a big old glob of something dried up, and then there's a big old glob of something not dried up. I'm like, where are we going? It's our world. We can do what we want. Except not, because sometimes when you do what you want with the world, it destroys the world. We don't want to do that. We want to save the frogs. Save the frogs and save the bees. Have you thought about adopting a beehive in your yard? Do it. If you have a yard to do that. No, not everyone does. I wish I did, because I would have a beehive. Save them bees. We need the bees. They're very important. Pollinating, surprising fact, is how we get a lot of our food. And you know who does all that pollinating? Bees. Very cool bees. See what I did there? We got jokes. See a bee, save a bee. Like this one. Save this bee. I think today I'm gonna jump into my favorite tool, the darts. I don't like doing this sometimes because I want to talk to you, but I'm also looking. Toads are to frogs as tortoises are to turtles. I agree with that. That is an accurate statement. Tortoises are pretty cool. They're a commitment because they can outlive you. That's the one thing that kind of keeps me a little bit away from that obsession, because I'm like, I don't want you to have a rough existence after I like croak and you're still cooking. You're still going, because you're a tortoise. It would be very cool to have a tortoise. I don't remember the exact, like, first instance I saw a gopher tortoise in person. I feel like it was probably when I was really young, on a scout camp trip or something, or a family camping trip or something. But they're pretty cool. The majority of the time I've seen a gopher tortoise, they're either booking it, getting away from something, or digging a hole, because that's the kind of life you live when you're a tortoise, digging holes. Saw this dude on TikTok who had pet tortoises, like pretty good sized tortoises, and I was like, wow, Having a career of just taking videos of your tortoise sounds like a pretty sweet job. It's like people who made a career out of taking videos of their cats. Man. Living the dream. One day, maybe. Another one of our favorite animals around here, kitties. If you don't like kitties, well, I'm sorry. You should like kitties. There's no one there. I'm talking to no one. It's just me and you. Ooh, I like this green. I hope you'll like it too. Using the other end of the dart today. I like circles. What's your favorite shape? Or how about, what was the shape that you put in the wrong spot when you were a toddler? Never really understood why that was a toy as a kid. I guess it helps with, like, problem-solving skills. Like, oh, which shape goes in which hole thing? It's like, well, if your kid can't figure this out, good luck. I'm sure someone out there has tried to make their, like, pet dog do that. I feel like that would be a thing. Someone's like, look how smart my dog is. It does the thing that your toddler does. Frog eggs? Maybe? Something's going on. Oh my god. The painting is acting as a drone skin. Does that sound good? You like that? You into that?
I kept thinking you were bumping the mic. I was like, what's going on?
I can't hear that the way that you can hear it, but Why play the drums when you could play the canvas? But isn't a drum also just canvas slash some other material stretched over a hollow thing? A frame? Yep, that's the word I was looking for. Membrane. Someone in the distance gave me a much better word for that. The tool I'm using, that's my dart. Well, one of my darts. It's one of the bigger ones, but it's got paint on it. But I'm using this side instead of this side. So we get circles. I might cheat at my own game and add another color, but we'll see. We'll see. It's early. We don't wanna get too crazy and break the rules. It's funny, being in art school, you always think like, oh, don't live by the rules. That's the best part about being in art. And it's true. Breaking the rules in art is fun. But sometimes it's more fun to make rules for yourself. I always thought that was like an odd thing for someone to decide, like, oh, I'm gonna have set parameters and rules for myself in what I'm making. But sometimes you get some really interesting results from that. Tool. No, we're not listening to Tool today. I honestly don't think I've ever really listened to Tool. Kind of was before my time. Today is Tool Day. We're going to use lots of tools. But we're not going to be a tool. I'm going to call this my pond of shapes. Mostly circles. We aren't squares in here. Circles. And abstract forms. You know what? I'm going to introduce a new tool. One you've never met before. Hot off the presses, just for you. More like hot off the 3D printer press. Oh ho ho ho! You're excited, I can tell. Has anyone figured out what the frogs are saying? I haven't brushed up on my frog language recently, so I haven't been able to decipher their exclamations. This is our new tool. Some 3D printed rings. Oh, wow. Wow. I have a fun anecdote about saying the word wow like that. I had a teacher in high school who did this cool thing called Word of the Week. And so he would have like a pair from his beginning printmaking class. Every week they would pick a random word from this really old, massive dictionary that he had. And of course people would try and find the weirdest words, like some old English words. It was pretty fun. But they would use his letterpress, I'm pretty sure. It was very old letterpress. And they would print the definition of the word, like obviously the word, but also the definition. And they would make one for every single person in the art department. And they called it Word of the Week. And whenever he talked about it, he would always go, wow. He was cool. He was a cool dude. Cool art teachers that you never forget. Honestly, that's a goal. I wouldn't mind being that cool art teacher you never forget. But also, being a teacher is hard. And high schoolers are mean. But I guess when you're an adult, you're supposed to just be like, yeah, whatever, they're kids. But I'm sensitive. Definitely wouldn't want to go for a teaching job right now, though. That sounds like an extra rough job right now. Shouts out to all those teachers showing up for class, or ones who aren't able to show up in person for class and are doing everything virtually. That is also a very tough job. But somebody's got to teach the kids. If they don't learn, what are they going to do? Very important. If there's any way you can help a teacher out there in your life, do it. Sometimes that's grading multiple choice questions on a test. Or reading some lab reports. Go read someone's lab reports for them. Help them out. Going back to the classic dart tool. There we go. 3D printed tools seems like it opens up some cool ideas. Oh yeah. I've been ruminating on it, you know. I need to gain some skills in Fusion 360 to actually design tools myself. This was actually a repurposed throwaway piece from something else. Because it just doesn't feel good to get rid of that stuff and throw it away. I mean, it is, I'm pretty sure it's biodegradable, the filament that we use. I'm pretty sure. I think. Clearly, I'm not the one with the knowledge of 3D printing in the house. I'm the sidekick, the helper. But hopefully not for long. You know, it's a really cool thing to learn how to use. Has a lot of really weird applications that a lot of people have come up with that like you just wouldn't even think that you would be able to do. Even just the things that you are able to print is like kind of amazing. There's a newer printer, well, I say that, I think it's been out for a while now, by Creality, that actually uses a like a conveyor belt system, so you can just continuously print stuff. Or print something really, really long that would not fit all on one print bed at all. I know one person, when they were testing it out and doing like a review of it, they printed like a sword, which I thought was pretty cool. Because usually, like, you only have so much space to print on your print bed, because your print bed can only be so big, depending on your printer. But with that type of printer, gives you a lot of advantages. And especially if you're somebody who's printing a lot of something, if you're printing a bunch of cute little frogs, you can just keep printing and keep printing and keep printing. When normally you'd have to only, you know, fill the print bed, take them all off, clean them off, do that whole fun song and dance. Everyone, excuse me, makes jokes about teach the kids how to code. I'm like, yeah, okay, but like, what if you teach kids how to print stuff? You know, why 3D printing should be huge. I feel like it's not as popular as I hoped it would be by now. And then there's also resin printing. That is the next level for us. We want to get a resin printer. Those are really cool. And I think the resin is a lot cheaper than I imagined it would be when I was looking at it. compared to how much you spend on a spool of filament. I mean, you get a lot of prints out of a spool of filament, you know, unless you're printing huge stuff. But the only drawback I feel like for a lot of the hobby 3D printing world is it can create a certain amount of waste that's a little bit, you know, depending on who you are and what you're doing, can be a little bit excessive. And I know some people have been trying to figure out ways to recycle their support trash, you know, because when you create something in something like Fusion 360 in a 3D modeling software, you then have to throw it into another program that prepares it to be actually printed by your printer, so it's doesn't just collapse on itself mid-print. So there's all these extra pieces that aren't actually the pieces of the print that you have to kind of cut off and sand down and, you know, process the print after it's been printed. But it creates, you know, a good amount of waste. You know, it's filament that you're printing and having to print, but not really using in the final product. So it'd be really cool if you'd be able to just recycle those pieces and break them back down and recreate filament, which sounds pretty complicated when you think about it, because then you'd have to extrude everything back out at an extremely consistent rate, because from what we've discovered in some not so great experiences, if you have filament that is not extruded at the same size for the entire roll of filament, it can kind of ruin your day when you're printing stuff. Or it can literally ruin your printer. Or parts of your printer, more likely. But it's complicated. You know? But I feel like it has greater returns than, like, the normal average complications of a boring printer on paper. Because everyone hates those kinds of printers. Calling out Epson, Hewlett-Packard, looking at you and your frustrating printers, ruining our lives. No, they're not. I actually have a printer that I realized the other day is 10 years old, and I think it was like maybe $30. And it's still cooking. It is still printing papers, somehow. And that printer has been through some abuse. That printer was used in a couple performance pieces in art school. So it has been used and mildly abused. But it's still going. So they might be irritating, but some of them last. Shockingly enough. How are the fish? You know, I'll have to ask. I bet they're liking all this rain because they're getting all this fresh water. Anybody see the highway that was underwater in Philly? Ooh. It was literally as if somebody took a whole section of highway that like runs, I think it was in downtown. I want to say it was 675. I don't know enough about Philadelphia's highways to tell you for sure. But I'm sure if you just Google Philly highway underwater, you'll find it. Because it is amazing. very unfortunate. Everyone dealing with all the flooding in New York has been really rough. Just whole subways underwater. I saw a couple videos of, I think, Brooklyn that was like just completely submerged. Just all the cars. It's rough. Very thankful here in Atlanta we were not too dramatically affected by Ida. But sad to say, other places, not the same. Of course, Louisiana's still going through it. They just can't get a break. It seems like they're going through something rough all the time with weather. Like everyone's always like, oh, Florida and their hurricanes. I'm like, they seem to be doing pretty decent in Florida the past few years. I feel like Louisiana's been getting beat up. I only have that attitude because I'm from Florida. We're gonna get some clear. Ooh, maybe we'll get some clear gel. Tub's kind of stuck. There's probably a better way of getting this out of this tub other than just pouring it over the edge and then having it crust all over. But that's no fun. We like making a mess. Our favorite phrase around here. Make mistakes. Get messy. My last painting really got me hooked on these like lighter, brighter colors. Trying to be more bold. As much as I love a dark and dramatic background, I really like how flat using kind of a similar palette, I guess, like a similar light palette. Some abstract art is very, very flat looking, and I like it. I like how that works. Are the fish really big or are you really small? Probably both. I'm a small person. Shout out to everybody under 5'5". Ayo. Like my colors? Thank you. Yeah, I'm sticking to... I can read them up, too. Some, let's see, cerulean blue. Phthalo green. Phthalo green. It's my Daffy Duck version. Where's my yellow? I don't know what yellow did I use? Oh, cadmium yellow. And some neon, I guess pink. These are some a little bit cheaper paint. They didn't really have, the official true artist color name. So we're gonna go with neon pink. Speaking of which, we're running out of this cadmium yellow. Oh, and of course, white. But white is not a color. I think we're almost out of white. I'll let you look at it while I'm mixing instead of blocking it with my big old head. I think it might be time to introduce some molding paste. Hope you heard that. It's that stuff that makes it thick. We like it thick around here. Only drawback, takes longer to dry. Some people want that. Painting live? Not so much. But we got it. We got it. We'll figure it out. So the clear leveling gel I was using earlier kind of thins out the paint, makes it a bit more kind of goopy. Goopy? I don't know if that's the right word. More like a gel, literally. Like, think your average like lotion versus like, you know, a thin gel like lotion. I don't know. That was a bad analogy. Molding paste makes it very thick. Holds a lot of shape. Kind of stays, you know, you can do a nice little like swirl. Almost like an ice cream cone, you know. That's how you know the meringue's good. When you do a little swirl and it has a nice little cone shape at the top. It kind of does that. It's nice. When you want it thick. There's actually a paint making company that, boy, that'd be a cool job to work for them. I think he's mostly, I mean, I found him on Instagram. I think it's Gaffery? G-A-F-F? Gaffery? Maybe? But he makes these really cool heavy body acrylics. And I think most of them come in these almost like cake decorating bags instead of like your kind of stereotypical tube of paint. And they're really cool. Like you can literally make shapes that are like in cake decorating with the little special little cap. I don't know all the names for all those baking, decorating fancy things with icing. But same kind of process, but with paint. And he makes these really cool, like, he was doing a lot of floral painting recently. I think he's based in Florida. I'm pretty sure he has a storefront in Florida somewhere. I can't remember where. I think it's further south. But he makes these awesome paintings that are like three-dimensional. Like they come out like a good maybe almost 5 inches from the canvas of these huge just chunks of paint. It's so chunky and the texture is just awesome. I love it. So if I had the moolah, I would definitely get a bunch of really heavy body acrylics from him because they are great. And he like started this company I don't think that long ago, and I think he just kind of blew up on Instagram. But he has a storefront now and everything, and they're really good quality paints from what it looks like, you know, from testimonials of users. And he's had a few like guest artists at his like studio slash, I guess manufacturing, you know, location where they mix and make the paints. It's pretty inspiring, you know. He was a guy who saw like an underserved market of people who want to use these like thick, heavy body acrylics and started his own paint making company from I think next to nothing. Just was an artist who wanted to do that. And I think is really cool. Didn't have to be some, you know, like oh, I got my materials science degree or something, and I'm gonna go work for, Liquitex or something, like a paint brand. Like, he just started his own. It's pretty cool. I don't know too much about him, but based on his internet presence, seems like a pretty nice guy. My little tadpoles. I remember when I was little, and every year when my parents had to have a pond in their backyard. And every year there would be swarms of tadpole babies. They were so much fun. We'd catch them, try and watch them turn into little weird froggies with tails. Definitely could write a pretty good kids book about living in Florida as a kid, playing with lizards, catching little toads. Because then, of course, all the tadpoles grow up into a bunch of toads. And they're everywhere. They're just tiny little dudes jumping everywhere. So you'd go down by the edge of the pond and there's just all these little tiny dots moving all over the place. And then you look closer and I'm like, oh, they're all toads! A lot of fun. Sometimes, when you're a kid, you don't really realize tadpoles can't grow up in a bucket of water. They need to stay in the pond. And sometimes you learn that the hard way. Because you come back and tadpoles aren't doing so good. And then you put them back in the pond because you're like, oh, maybe we should just leave them in there. I don't think I ever really saw, baby lizards when I was a kid. I mean, no, I take that back. They would be pretty small sometimes, but you never really see them, fresh out of the little tiny egg. The anoles that are so abundant in Florida. Talk a lot about aminals on this show. Maybe I should have been a biologist, huh? I say that like that's so easy to do. I had a friend in college who was in the biology program at my college, and that was not easy. It's very interesting. Learn a lot of really interesting things, of course, but a lot of things you have to remember. I say, after having taken how many years of art history and memorizing artist names and all of that kind of stuff. It would have been cool to be in marine biology. They have some really interesting courses you can take. And the ocean's like outer space, practically. Like, who cares about exploring space? You don't know anything about the ocean, practically. Like, there's so much stuff there that we don't know about. That Planet Earth, the deep ocean episode, that just scratches the surface. We don't even know. I say scratches the surface and also deep ocean. That makes sense. But there's so much stuff about the ocean down there that we just don't know. It's deep. There's pressure. It's hard to get there. But the ocean also dramatically affects us, very directly. Case in point, storms. Very bad storms. Understanding the ocean currents definitely affects our ability to deal with major storms. But you know, the biology of the ocean's pretty cool too. Way more stuff I feel like we don't know about that, but I could be wrong. I hope you're enjoying my very interesting ramblings about the ocean and science. Feel free to chime in. I know I got some science nerds out there. Chime in with your knowledge. That was kind of always my, like, weird little... I guess it's not weird, but... I always enjoyed artists and art people that tried really hard to be more involved with the science world. It's a great way to help teach science, especially to kids, using art as a vehicle. I feel like there's a lot of science that, in a lot of ways, is also art. And it really stinks that we kind of view these things in so separate categories. Of course, there's only so many things that can overlap in the sense of a lot of science is about factual things, but there's a lot of science that's about theorizing. And there's a lot of art that's about theorizing and discussing and experimenting. Good gosh. Artists love to experiment. They might not have a very organized and official process to it, but I think both of those worlds can learn a lot from each other. Experimentation as creativity, definitely. A lot of the foundations for a lot of different kinds of sciences and forms of study, a lot of those dudes, they were artists. A lot of the earliest understandings of the human body we wouldn't have understood without artist depictions. Of course, there were some definitely morally gray areas of, you know, anatomical studies and dissections of bodies, etc. Some very obviously not good things, but we learn and we grow and we understand maybe we shouldn't do that, or maybe we should ask people before we do experiments. And I don't think the art world is innocent of that either at all. I feel like most people, they get their first exposure to a lot of sciences from visual art. That's definitely a dream job for me, is just making and building and designing, you know, displays and educational installations for science related things or history. There's a lot of things that people don't really know or just haven't really been exposed to in history until, you know, they see some really interesting exhibit. And a lot of times, who's the one building or designing those exhibits? A lot of people that are artists. Here in Atlanta, we have the Fernbank Museum making exhibits for a place like that. Psh, man. That'd be a cool job. As interesting and inspiring as it may be to do, you know, special effects or just effects art with costuming or makeup or things like that, set design, that kind of stuff. As cool as that is, I feel like coming from an educational standpoint and teaching people about science or history, that's where it's at for me. That's what I would want to do. I don't want to work on a Hollywood set. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You know, that is a very cool industry to be in. But not for me. No thanks. Probably get a lot of experience and learn a lot about materials and creating similar kind of designs. But I like the purpose of educating. Especially when it's a way for more people to digest and understand. Because that's what we need. We need more ways for people to understand things in different ways. Because people learn differently. I hope you're learning something. I hope I'm learning to check chat more often. Yeah, film is huge in Atlanta. It's very true. There's a big, big world here with lots of money getting invested in it. And sometimes that's where more opportunities grow. Because there's a lot of money in it. There's a lot of people doing some really amazing things. A lot of studios. And it's kind of sad that we're in a time where a lot of Hollywood kind of leans on a lot of computer generated effects for a lot of things, and you don't really see as much, I guess, real effects. Something like, sculpting the weird foot slippers that all the hobbits had to wear in Lord of the Rings. Like, that'd be a cool job. I'd do that. Or all the crazy orc faces. Like, those movies really... I know a lot of people like to kind of make fun of them now because the CG looks outdated, blah, blah, blah. But man, the real effects that they had in there, like the wraiths having to wear all of that armor and all of that stuff while riding horses, that takes a lot. You can be a very fit person, and doing that sounds like a nightmare to me. There was some ear towards the, what was it, the Black Widow movie, about people saying that the CG just didn't look very good. That's the thing, it's cheaper. It's cheaper to generate things. You can use less people, pay them less. I don't think it should diminish the skill that goes into doing that, but, they do it for a reason. They do that because they want to save the money on the production so that when it comes out, they get the bigger bucks. Thank you. I was a little worried about this limited palette, but I think I might do that more often. I was trying to make that not look like the Olympic rings, but here we are. Where are we going, guys? Where are we going? Where are we going? We're going to a smaller brush. And some paint. I've noticed almost all of my paintings I've done for streams, they got a lot of green. I'm all about my greens. Although the last one did have a lot of blue. But that's a lot of green. I'm not lying when I say it's improvisation, because boy, it is. And I thought maybe I'd change that format at some point, you know, maybe try something a bit more planned. Maybe have it like an underdrawing before I start the stream. Any thoughts? Do I have a fave, like a favorite color? I don't know, I really like this phthalo green. It's definitely one of my favorites. Yeah, you can tell what kind of green it is. Probably my favorite color. I do like a very, you know, what is this? Oh, a Hooker's green. Hooker's green is much more, like an olivey green, like a deeper, very typical green, but phthalo green. Something about that PHTH, you know, I'm all about it. No stream painting. I'm confused. What do you mean? No stream painting. Person whose first name I know, but I'm not going to say it because I feel like that's rude. Oh, favorite stream painting. I don't know. I really like the one I did last week. But I gotta say the bubbles one was pretty great. I can actually go grab it for you. If you're new around these parts, I honestly don't even remember how many streams ago that was. But this one, I think, was probably my favorite. One of my favorite backgrounds that we've done, too. But this one, I think, is probably pretty much my fave so far. I'm trying to, kind of simplify things a little bit. Like, sometimes I get a little busy and, like, feel like I got too much going on. But this one's probably my favorite. There was a lot of experimenting on that one, which I think I learned a lot. I learned what I like doing. Almost every single stream, I shouldn't say almost, because it is literally every stream, I learn more about what I want to do with these paintings. And, learn about what you guys are looking for. Because I'm not just here for me. I'm here for you. Cabras. Definitely not as pre-planned as the legendary Bob Ross. But I don't want to be him, I want to be maybe like him. I admire him. But I don't want to be him, I want to be me. I want to be this cool bee. Ooh, it's 8:30 something. It's later than I thought it was. Time flies when you're having fun. Hanging out with you. If you tuned in for our last stream, I mentioned briefly my admiration for those who do pinstriping. So, of course, not too long after that stream, I got a little curious. I was like, what does that take? What is that? What is that skill? What are you doing? Because it looks amazing. people do that freehand. It's pretty crazy. But from what I learned, a lot of it has to do with the kind of brush you use. So they have special, like, specific kinds of shapes of brushes that really give specific kinds of shapes to their lines. You know, if you want really thin lines, or thickening the line by pressing down more and then kind of lifting up. It's pretty cool. If you want to watch something for a couple hours and just lose your mind in it, you know. Not while I'm streaming, of course. This is where you're at. This is where you want to be. But you know, you're trying to fall asleep and you don't have a good book, or you're tired of your good book because you've been reading it every night, or you just kind of want to turn your brain off and watch something cool. Watch people doing pinstriping. It's crazy. Boy, do I wish I had that steady hand. I mean, I know it takes a lot of practice, so like, you gotta work at it. You don't just walk into having like the most steady hand ever. But boy, it's amazing. And I'm sure there's not that many people still doing it, because everyone's getting, you know, just like a vinyl decal on their car. Which, you know, yeah, it's more cost effective, I guess. But man, just someone by hand doing these perfect lines. It's amazing. Skills. As I try to not ruin the integrity of this circle. See, that's the one thing that kind of stinks about using, oh my gosh. I was just talking about this on my own stream. Molding paste. Molding paste takes longer to dry. I'm sure there's a fast-drying molding paste out there in the world, but unfortunately, I have not made that investment. Pardon my yarn. It's not you. It's just been a long day. You know. We're almost at 9 o'clock. Ooh, you're hanging out late. I appreciate it. This has been fun. I like this one. I mean, I say that every time. But sometimes you make a painting and you don't really like it. You're kind of like, yeah, I did all that work and I'm not too crazy about it. And then you paint over it. And you paint something else. That's what you can do with paint. The beauty of paint. You can paint over it. Wow. I think we're getting close to the end of our time together. But I appreciate you being here for yet another, excuse me, pardon me, yet another fun time experimenting, trying some new things, trying some different palette techniques. You know, sometimes you get too many colors. Sometimes you get a little overwhelmed. You look at that palette and you're like, oh, where do I go? What do I do? But I think limiting colors was a good choice. I liked it. It was fun. It was a little challenging. You know, you don't want to just kind of have it end up all the same, kind of blah. Or you do. Who knows? Some people, that's the kind of style they do, and it works. Maybe not so much for me, but I like my tadpoles. My little dudes. Love the bottom right dots. And peachy zone on the left. I really like how we describe things in the paintings. That's probably my favorite part about interacting with chat, is how people describe things. It's fun. I like it. I appreciate it. Tadpoles. Yes, my tadpole dudes. Little dudes. You'll come to find that is what I call a lot of things. Little dudes. It's just how I am. You know? Little dudes. I'm debating adding something else, but I think I'm content. I think I have reached a state of contentness with this painting. I kind of want to put some more yellow. I'm feeling more yellow. What do you think? You know, I really like the idea of having chat input into what I do, like how I paint, or what I'm painting, or what colors, or tools, or whatever. I like it. It's cool. It's not really something that you have when you're making art. You know, a lot of times it's a very intimate, kind of insulating experience. You're just there with your materials, whatever you're doing, and it's very insulating sometimes. I think that's why I like interactive art, because it gets the viewer involved. It gets the person that's really experiencing it involved in what that art is. And it can be so many different things, you know, like my old teacher's kind of torture chamber, you know, it's but that can be very, like, it can have such a broad meaning to so many different people because they're experiencing something in a different way. And sometimes that's looking at a visual thing, and sometimes that's literally doing something, picking things up, moving things around. There's this one ceramic artist that I can't. I'm so bad with names. I need to start remembering people's names. But she had this installation of ceramic work where she made a bunch of molds of these like various sized, almost like, I want to say they're hexagonal. They almost look like big giant bolts, but ceramic. And people were encouraged to interact with them, stack them, do whatever with them, you know, make their own kind of piece out of it. And some of them would get broken. Some people kind of found a way to like use broken pieces to kind of connect other pieces together. But it was really interesting to have this like repetitive shape in different sizes and different, you know, colors and things like that. And it was ceramic, so you're like, oh, do I have to be really, really careful with this? But can I just intentionally break it and make something with that? Is that part of the piece? Who knows? It was really interesting. Less is more. I think so too. I think a lot of times I get a little going all over the place. But sometimes limiting yourself, owning it, bringing it all in, you know, whatever that means. Interpret it how you will. The beauty of art. This is my signal to my production assistant. Maybe the signal is lost. I'm back. But not for long. Because unfortunately, we have to find an end to our time together.
I'm finding it.
I'm finding it. I had to go find the end. No, not the end as in Metal Gear. Oh, sometimes, you know, you disappear and sometimes you come back. Sometimes part of your painting is there and sometimes part of it's not.
Oh, I'm trying to make you big.
Trying to make me big? Oh no.
Can't.
Oh no, I like being small. I like being small. Now I'm gonna be all in your business. Maybe next time I'll paint this. You know, maybe I'll do a portrait. Maybe that's the place that we're gonna be, is in my head. Maybe not literally. Or maybe literally. Anyway, I'm glad that you were here. I had fun. I hope you had fun. I definitely enjoyed what we did together, because I consider this together. We did this together. It was a team effort. You know, sometimes the world just flips you upside down and you gotta figure it out. But I'm glad you were there for it. And I hope you join us next week on Friday. Because now we are moving to Friday. Because Thursday is a little rough. You know, it's kind of a challenge. But we want to bring it to you. I think Friday will be nice. Everyone's, you know, you get out of work, you come home, you're like, oh, I'm ready for my weekend. I'm going to hang out. And you get to hang out with us. And you don't have to worry about waking up for work tomorrow. Maybe. Some people do. But Friday, 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 Friday at 6, maybe 6:30 sometimes. But we'll be here for you.
Finally, they're gone. Oh wait, they can still hear us.